Okay, tuloy tayo sa discussion po no for remedial law, no? So bago pala tayo pumunta ng criminal procedure, tackle ko muna yung writ of amparo. So sa writ of amparo, normally may tatlong pwedeng anggulo na pagtanungan sa inyo. Una is yung napakasimple. Ito pong petition na to, it is only a proper remedy if there was government participation. Hindi pwedeng private individual ang nag-enforce disappearance, ang nag-extralegal killing, hindi po pwede. Kailangan merong government participation. Either public official talaga yung gawa ng enforced disappearance or under uh, his supervision kasi dapat may government participation nga. Next po, no, tandaan nyo, hindi po lahat ng actual or threatened violation ng right to life, liberty, security pwede po sa writ of amparo. Ang writ of amparo lang po, pwede kung na-threatened yung life, liberty, security ng tao in such a way na parang extralegal killing siya or parang enforced disappearance siya. No? Same way po kapag actual. Kapag actual violation na po ng life, liberty, or security or insecurity, dapat enforced disappearance o extralegal killing yan. Okay? In other words, doon po talaga, ang focus dapat natin for the first two angles, no, government participation, extralegal killing, enforced disappearance. Okay? Hindi pwedeng generic na violation lang ng right to life, liberty, and security. Hindi po pwede, no? Dapat extralegal killing, enforced disappearances, or threats thereof. Okay? So, of course, obviously, hindi naman dapat na may enforced disappearance na. Pwedeng threat pa lang. Okay? Move tayo. Next po, yung priority ng filing. Tandaan nyo, syempre, kapag threat pa lang naman, hindi pa naman actual, makakapag-file pa po yung aggrieved party. So, aggrieved party ang una sa priority. Pag nag-file po yung aggrieved party, it suspends the right of number 2, number 3, and number 4 to file this petition. Kung wala ni aggrieved party, ang nag-file po yung immediate family members, it suspends the 3 and 4. Kung ang nag-file naman yung extended family relatives, yun yung within the fourth civil degree. Di ba? Of consanguinity or affinity. Pinsan-in-law, brother-in-law. Okay? Sali dyan. Tito-in-law. No? Father-in-law, it goes without saying. No? Sister-in-law, brother-in-law. Okay. Pwedeng mag-file. Pag nag-file na po yung kapatid, hindi na pwedeng mag-file yung number 4. Kung wala talaga nag-file, any concerned citizen can file the same. Okay? Sige. Move tayo to bail. No? Okay, sa bail po, tig-dalawa na instances yan. Bail as a matter of right, dalawa. Bukayin ko na nga yung discussion sa ampara para hindi magulo. Okay, sa bail po, pag as a matter of right, dalawa yan. Bail as a matter of discretion, dalawa din. Bail, when it must be denied, dalawa din. Ano po yung dalawang instances ng bail as a matter of right? Alam naman natin, before or after conviction by the MTC. That's why kapag nasa MTC po yung kaso, sabihin natin less serious physical injuries. Nagpiyansa, no? Nasa MTC level pa lang. Yung pong piyansa na pinost sa MTC, that is valid and effective until promulgation of judgment by the RTC. What does that mean? Ibig po sabihin, effective yung bail na yun sa MTC proceedings at saka po sa RTC proceedings until the RTC can render a judgment. Pag po nag-render na ng judgment yung RTC, hindi na po siya bail as a matter of right. Magiging na po siyang bail as a matter of discretion. Sabihin natin, less serious physical injury. So sabi ng MTC, convicted. O, yung piyansa mo ng MTC na yun, yung pa rin yung piyansa mo ng RTC. O sabi ng RTC ulit, affirmed yung conviction. Ngayon, pwede na pong, hindi na po bail as a matter of right yan. Magiging ang bail as a matter of discretion kasi after conviction na po siya ng RTC of a crime, felony, an offense, hindi po punishable na reclusion perpetual, life imprisonment, or death. Kasi nga MTC ang court of original jurisdiction eh. Eh di malamang, hindi naman ganun kataas yung penalty, di ba? Probably, arresto mayor, di ba? Prison correctional, you get the point. No? Dito na po papasok. At dahil po discretion yan, no, may power po yung court to deny na yung bail. Nakukulong ka na pending litig. Kung ipa-appeal mo pa sa CA yung naging decision ng RTC, di ba, on appeal, pwedeng makakulong na tayo, di ba? Magiging detention prisoner na. Depende po sa discretion na ni court. Next, sa bill as a matter of right, no, lumipad na tayo. MTC lang yung sinabi ko na, pero madami na ako sinabi. Please take note of what I said. Next, right, bill as a matter of right before conviction by the RTC of, ayan nga, an offense which is not punishable by RP, LI, or death. Like prison mayor, no? Ano ba example ng prison mayor? Sabihin natin, frustrated homicide. Yan ang kaso. Prison mayor, di ba? So, bill as a matter of right yan. Di ba? Ano pa? Homicide. O, di ba? Frustrated homicide, attempted homicide, homicide. No? Bail as a matter of right. Okay? Hindi ko na kailangan explain pa yon. Sabihin natin, nagkaroon na ng conviction later on, pupunta nga dito ulit. No? Sabihin natin, homicide ang kaso. Dito pupunta pag nagkaroon na ng conviction. Discretion na ng court. Okay? Dito tayo sa next one, sa bail. Before conviction by the RTC of an offense punishable by RP, LI, kaya naka-check, no? RP, LI, or death, and the evidence of guilt is not strong. No? Nasa kaso po yan. The name of the case is People versus Tanes, 2019 case, no? Bail is a matter of discretion before conviction by the RTC of a crime punishable by reclusion perpetua, life imprisonment, death, wala naman ng death ngayon, no? When the evidence of guilt is not strong. Okay? Discretion. Pwedeng, di na rin siya, deny na rin yung bail niya. No? Even if, ayan nga, evidence of guilt is not strong, it becomes a matter of discretion. Lastly, when must bail be denied? Before or after conviction by the RTC? No? And the evidence of guilt is strong. Kasi may sa bail hearing po, di ba? Lahat naman po ng instances, whether bail is a matter of right, is a matter of discretion, kailangan may bail hearing. Pag as a matter of right, kailangan mo ng hearing to determine the amount of bail. Kapag a matter of discretion, kailangan determine natin kung kailangan mo papiyansahan ba to, pwede mong piyansahan tong tao na to o hindi. Diba? O sabihin natin, napatunayan ng prosecution that the evidence of guilt is strong. May CCTV na pinatay niya talaga. Denied. Pag before conviction. O malamang pag after conviction, malamang evidence of guilt is strong. Diba? Ng RTC, pag sabihin natin, murder ang kaso, o kinonvict ng RTC, pending yung kaso sa Court of Appeals, malamang evidence of guilt is strong. Convicted eh. So denied. Kaya po before or after. Okay? And dito po tayo sa last one, no? Yung pinaka-complicated sa lahat. Ang exception po pala dito, sa una, yung before after conviction by the RTC, no? and the evidence of an offense punishable by RP, LI, or death, and the evidence of guilt is strong. Ang exception dyan is if the accused is a child. Meron po talaga siyang right to post bail, no? Regardless of yung strength nga ng evidence, kung strong o hindi. Okay, Section 5 and 35 RA 9344. Okay, dito tayo sa next, no? After conviction by the RTC, no? Ah, wait lang. After after conviction by the RTC and the penalty imposed exceeds 6 years. So malamang RTC yan. Hindi naman pwedeng MTC ang mag-i-impose ng penalty exceeding 6 years. Alam na alam niyo sa BP 129 na exceeding 6 years lang po ang jurisdiction ng MTC. RTC, exceeding 6 years. So RTC yan. And the prosecution was able to prove, no? Kasi nga, ganito, no? I-correlate natin. Di ba, kinundik ka ng RTC? Sabi ikaw. Okay. Kinundik ka ng RTC. The offense is, sabihin natin, hindi murder, hindi parricide, hindi infanticide, hindi robbery with homicide. Ang sentensya sa'yo, prison mayor. Okay. Dito, sige, dito. RTC, sinintensyahan ka ng prison mayor. After, di ba? After judgment. After judgment. Bail becomes a matter of discretion. Di ba? Kasi dito po, papasok. Okay. Discretion yan. Ngayon, siyempre, ano gagawin ng akusado? The accused file an will file an appeal. Di ba? Mag-a-appeal yan. Along with that, magpa-file po yung accused, appellant, no? Accused appellant, ng petition for bail. Doon po sa proceedings ng petition for bail, may dalawang scenarios. Di ba? Pwedeng i-grant yung bail, pwedeng i-deny yung posting ng bail. Okay. So, paano pag walang pinakasentang ebidensya yung prosecution? Discretion ng court. Kung i-grant o i-deny yung pagpo-post ng bail. However, paano po if the prosecution was able to prove ito? Probability of flight. Sinamaris ko lang po, no, maraming instances dyan, 6 ata yung listahan dyan sa 5. Yung listahan sa Section 5, Rule 114, 5 yan. No? Pero pinaiksi ko lang. Kasi yung nakalagay dyan, circumstances indicate a probability of flight if he is released. Isa naman is, he previously escaped from legal confinement, evaded sentence, or violated the conditions of his bail. Yung dalawa pong circumstances na to, similar sila. Which is, probable na lumipad, magtago. Kaya doon ko inilagay, no? Dalawa po ang parang, basically ito yung main title ng dalawang na yan para sa akin, sa isip ko. Para madaling ma-memorize. Kasi ganyan ang ginagawa ko minsan pag maraming kailangan i-memorize. Para umiksi, hinahanap ko yung mga common items. And then ginagawa ko sila ng title. Ano ba, how can I describe these similar items? O yan, ito ang description ko doon sa similar items na yun, yung probability of flight at saka previously escaped from legal confinement, evaded sentence, violated conditions of bail. Probability of flight ang ko dyan. Ang title ko sa dalawa na yan. Isa naman is, there is propensity to commit another crime. Ano po yung mga, bakit yan ang nilagay ko sa title do sa remaining na 3? Ito yung una, he is a recidivist, quasi-recidivist, habitual delinquent, reiteration. Eh di may propensity to commit crimes. Recidivist ka nga eh. And so on, ibig sabihin, nakadalawa ka na or more times na naging kriminal. O nahatulan by final judgment. Di ba? Pag sinabi mong commission of an offense while on parole, conditional pardon, probation, eh, di ibig sabihin, pangalawa mo na. O lastly, there is an that he may commit another crime during the pendency of the appeal. Another crime, di ba? Anjuris to commit another crime. Yun po ang common theme. Yung pala, wag palang title. Common theme. Okay. O ngayon, let's connect everything. Before conviction, ayan buburahin ko ulit to. From the top, mga kapatid. Diba? Ang gusto ko lang po i-point out sa inyo, yung bail as a matter of right, bail as a matter of discretion, and when bail must be denied, especially ito, mga may star, yan. O yan. At saka ito, may istorya yan. Connected. Actually, yeah, connected yan. O ngayon, nalagyan ko naman yung isa, ano naman, diamond naman. O to, diamond naman to. O yan, ito naman ang connected. Yung unang connection, before conviction with the RTC of an offense not punishable by, ito. Ano yung kakonect nun? Sa discretion. After conviction with the RTC of an offense not punishable by RPLID. Ano yung kakonect niyan? Ito sa baba. Sa denied. After conviction by the RTC, where the penalty imposed exceeds 6 years and the prosecution was able to prove during the bail hearing probability of flight or propensity to commit or propensity to commit another crime. Sila yung magkakakonect. O, ito isa naman na yung diamonds naman. Before conviction by the RTC of an offense punishable by RPC, LI, death. Not strong yung evidence of guilt. Ang kakonect niya sa denied, before or after conviction by the RTC of an offense punishable by RP, LI, death, and the evidence of guilt is strong. Malam, connected dyan. Doon muna tayo sa stars, okay? Una, what's the charge? Sabihin natin homicide. O, di ba RT yan? So, before conviction by the RTC of this homicide na charge, bail is a matter of right. Once na-convict, after judgment, na-convict ng RTC ng homicide, reclusion temporal, it becomes discretion. So what will happen? Siyempre, discretion yun. Magpa-file ng petition for bail yung akusado, accused appellant. In that hearing, the prosecution will be given an opportunity to present evidence. If mapapakita po ng prosecution during the bail hearing, yung probability of flight or yung propensity to commit another crime, now the bail will be denied. Yan po ang connection ng tatlo na yan. Okay? Ayos tayo. Tingnan nyo yun. Okay? Anyway, last topic sa bill, no, na top of my head lang naalala ko. Should the accused be arraigned first, no? Should the accused be arraigned before he can post bail? In Tagalog, dapat ba ma-arraign muna siya bago siya makapagpiyansa? The answer is no. Okay? Why? Anyway, yun ang isulat ko rito. The case is Lavides versus Court of Appeals. Natanong na rin sa bar to, baka maulit. Kasi basic question siya. Bail and arraignment. If he must post bail before he can be arraigned, di ba? Ano ang result? What's the result? He will forgo his right to file a motion to quash just so he can post bail. Just so he can post bail. Bakit ko mawi-waive o mako-forgo yung right niya to file a motion to quash? Because a motion to quash can only be filed before arraignment. Di ba? So, ipagpapiansahin mo, wait lang, huwag palang from the top. Palitin natin. Mali ito. Pero ito rin yung sa baba. Okay. Sabihin natin, ah, he must be arraigned so that he can post bail. Yan pala, dalawang check pala. No? Wait, pag ba? Ubuhin ko na nga lang yung sentence. Ayoko ng check dito for this topic. Okay. He must be arraigned. Ayan. Before he can post bail. Okay. If that is sabi nung sabi ng court, no? You must first be arraigned before you can post bail. Tama po ba yun? The answer is no. Kasi if that is the condition, he will forgo his right to file a motion to quash just so he can post bail. Bakit ko mako-forgo yung right niya to file a motion to quash? Because a motion to quash can only be filed before arraignment. Kailangan ma-arraign ka, pag na-arraign ka na, hindi ka na pwede mag-file ng motion to quash. Sabi mo, para makapag-post ako ng bail, kailangan magpa-arraign muna ako. Di para makalaya pala ako, makapagpiyansa ako, kailangan mabasahan muna ako. In other words po, para ma-address nyo to properly, para maintindihan nyo, may dalawang magkalaban dito. Pero ito, collateral damage to. Okay? Silang dalawa ang magkalaban, yung arraignment at saka posting of bail, pero yung collateral damage ang problema natin. Which is ito, yung pangatlong party. Okay? Yung motion to quash. Okay? Basically, merong third person na naapektuhan doon sa pag-aaway nilang dalawa. Ngayon naman, yung pangalawang condition naman, he cannot post bail if he is not arraigned. Ayan, paano ba ito naman yung condition? Cannot. Not. Ano mangyayari? The bail of right, his right to bail will be denied. Di ba? His right to bail will be denied. Will be denied, no? In violation of the Constitution yan. Hindi lang ng rules of court. Di ba? You cannot post bail if you are not arraigned. So, ano mangyayari? Well, sige, huwag na natin itakal pala, no? Huwag natin i-approach from a political law perspective. I-approach natin siya from a remedial law perspective, no? If this party, if he intends to file a motion to quash, no? He has to wait sa resolution ng MTQ ng motion to quash before he can post bail. Again, ano naman po ang naging problema sa magkalaban, no? Ano na naman naging problema? Ang magkalaban niya ulit yung arraignment at saka yung pag-post ng bail dito. Pero ang naging epekto po talaga yung pangatlo, the MTQ. Because if this person, if the accused intends to file a motion to quash, di ba? He has to wait for the order, no? On the motion to quash before he can post bail. Di ba? Kasi pag nag-file na siya ng motion to quash at sinabi ng court, denied ang motion to quash. No? Denied mo yung mga grounds na ni-raise mo dyan sa motion to quash mo. Sabi ng trial court. Sabi niya, okay po. Mag-ano na yan, di ba? Mag-aari na siya. Kasi tapos na siya mag-motion to quash eh. Yung lahat ng sinabi niyang grounds doon, wala na nga. No? Hindi po siya tinanggap ng korte. O di good, di ba? Mag-aari na. Pero during the intervening period na ni-resolve pa yung motion to quash, he cannot post bail. Before he can post bail, nakalagay dyan. So he cannot post bail, so makukulong siya sa loob. Even though under political law, bail in this case is a matter of right. It was denied from him in violation of his constitutional rights. O yan. If he must be arraigned before he can post bail, he waives his right to file a motion to quash. Just so he can post bail. If he cannot post bail, if he's not arraigned, doon naman tayo sa other side. And he intends to file a motion to quash, he must wait. The resolution, the order of the court on that motion before he can post bail. Okay. Get the point. O, next, move tayo sa next topic sa criminal procedure. Warrantless arrest. Okay guys, next topic naman tayo, no? Itakil natin yung warrantless arrest muna bago tayo mag-ombudsman, no? Bago tayo mag-ombudsman. Takil muna natin yung warrantless arrest. Sa warrantless arrest, tandaan nyo, bago natin i-focus yung mga requisites ng hot pursuit arrest at saka in flagrante delicto arrest, tingnan muna po natin yung context, no? How do we simplify? What does in flagrante delicto mean? It means caught red-handed or caught in the act. Huli ka agad nung ginagawa mo yung act. Pag sinabi mong pursuit, by the name itself, there must be pursuit. No? Tanggalin na nga natin chase. Tagalogin na lang natin. Pag sinabi mong pursuit, may habulang nangyari. Okay? So, attorney, sabihin natin, police ako, no? Police ako. Sabihin natin, police ako. Nakita ko ngayon na nakipagsuntukan yung isang tao. O, di ba? No? There was an overt act manifestly indicating that he was actually committing a crime. Nakikipagsuntukan siya, that's a crime. Di ba? And it was done in my presence. Okay, police officer. Nakita ko eyesight, no? Sense of sight ang naka-determine bakit in flagrante delicto, no? Wait lang. Okay, tuloy tayo. Ayan. Nakita ko, di ba? Kita ko na may ginagawa siya overt act. He was actually committing a crime. Sabihin natin, nahuli ko siya agad. Kahit magsuntukan, pagbira niyang ganon, nakaready na agad yung posas ko. Ang tawag dyan, in flagrante delicto. O, attorney, paano kung hindi mo agad nahuli, naghabulan pa kayo dun sa barangay? O, okay, nakatatlong kanto muna bago ko siya naabutan, bago sa hingalin, at saka ko siya napusasan. Is that in flagrante delicto arrest or hot pursuit arrest? Hot pursuit po yun. Kasi there was pursuit. Okay? So even if, tandaan nyo yun yun ang una nating itatakil dito. Even if I saw him, doing committing the crime. Pag sinabi mong in flagrante delicto arrest, we're talking about the arrest. Di ba? Hindi naman yung commission of the crime eh. Di ba? Kailan ko ba siya na-arrest? Oh, did I arrest him in the act? Red-handed? Or nagkaroon ng habulan? O nagkaroon po ng habulan, nakatatlong kanto kami bago kami nagkaabot, bago ko siya napusasan. Hot pursuit po ang gagana. O ano yung requisites po ng hot pursuit? Immediacy test. Yan yung nakalagay dyan. An offense has just been committed. Yan po ibig sabihin yan, no? Just. Ibig sabihin ng immediacy, there is large measure of immediacy between the commission of the crime and the time that the arrest was made or performed. Okay? Wait lang. Next, there must be personal knowledge of facts and circumstances, no? That the person to be arrested has committed the crime. In this case, do I have a personal knowledge of facts and circumstances? Hindi lang nga po facts and circumstances eh. I have personal knowledge because I was an eyewitness. Yan pala yung gusto ko i-point out sa inyo. Iba po ibig sabihin ng personal knowledge of facts and circumstances that the person to be arrested has committed the crime. Iba rin po yung personal knowledge kasi eyewitness ka. Okay, let's clarify that one. Pag sinabi mong personal knowledge of facts and circumstances, mas mababaw siya, broader siya. Yung pala, hindi pala mababaw. Okay. Broader. Broader po ito kumpara dito sa in his presence. Okay? Pag sinabi mo kasi in your presence, eyewitness ka. Pag pinadala ka sa korte, police, pumunta ka sa korte, nag-testify ka, ikaw din ang huli, ikaw pa eyewitness. Di ba? Mas matindi yung ebidensya. Ikaw nakakita, ikaw talaga. Okay? You are the eyewitness. Pero pag sinabi mo kasing personal knowledge of facts and circumstances, hindi po automatic na eyewitness dapat yung police. Yun yung gusto kong sabihin. That's why this is broader. It covers other instances too. No? Hindi pag hot pursuit, hindi kailangan, we will tackle that further later, no? Hindi kailangan sa hot pursuit na eyewitness yung police. Pwede siyang hindi eyewitness and there can still be a valid hot pursuit arrest. Anyway, balik tayo. Balik tayo sa discussion ko, no? O sabihin natin, di ba nakatatlong nakatatlong kanto. O ayan, bago ko nahuli yung nakapagsuntukan. Ayan, tatlong kanto. Hot pursuit arrest siya. O ngayon, pasado ba tayo sa immediacy test? The answer is yes. Kasi the time when the crime was committed and the arrest, di ba? The time of the arrest and the time of the commission of the crime, it is immediate. They are immediate. Pasado. Do I have personal knowledge? The answer is yes. Kasi nga, mas matindi pa yung knowledge ko eh. Hindi lang personal knowledge, eyewitness pa ako. And lastly, may probable cause ba? The answer is yes. What does probable cause mean? Kasi maraming probable cause, di ba? May probable cause sa prosecution level, may probable cause sa judge, no? Court level. May probable cause din po sa pag-aresto ng tao. Sabi po sa people versus generoso, no? Actual belief or reasonable grounds of suspicion. So, pinaiksi ko na lang. Reasonable suspicion. Okay? Actual belief or reasonable grounds of suspicion. It is reasonable for you to suspect that this person committed the crime. Diyos ko, ano bang suspicion ang kailangan natin dito? Ako nga nakakita ng kapagsuntukan siya. Di, pasado rin. What I'm trying to say is, pag ganun nagkakaroon ng habulan, at napaka-basic po ng tanong, hindi automatic na pamigayan na bar question. Kasi marami pong magkakamali sa anong requisites, anong arrest, anong instance under Article 1, under Rule 113, Section 5 ang gagamitin. Okay? Hindi po automatic panalo agad. Kasi napakadali nga po nung facts. Kaya lang, yun naman mga estudyante, mga bar takers natin, mamamali naman ng requisites. E di partial points ka din. Maganda, pinahirapan ka na lang, at least di ka umasa, di ba? Kung mahirapan yung tanong at nagkaroon ka ng tamang, alam mo yun, tamang reasoning, no? Kahit it makes sense yung reasoning mo, yun lang din ang points mo. Kumpara dun sa alam ko talaga yung facts, alam mo kung paano sagutin, alam mo valid siyang arrest, mali ka naman ang i-invoke na requisite. That's why we need to know the context ng dalawa na yan. Tandaan nyo ha, pag caught red-handed, in flagrante, pag nagkaroon ng habulan, i-hot pursuit ka. Okay? Ayos tayo. Next. O attorney, paano pag no? In flagrante delicto, hindi nangyari nga. Naghabulan kami. Naging hot pursuit. Nakapagtago. Nakapagtago ngayon. Kung hindi mo siya mahanap, no? To for case law to. Kung hindi mo siya mahanap, hindi mo nahanap within 24 hours, hindi talaga siya na-arrest within 24 hours. Yan po yung sa Supreme Court cases, yan po yung isa sa mga kaso. Pag more than 1 day na, kailangan mag-secure ka na ng warrant of arrest to arrest him later on. Okay? Unless continuing yung crime. Kasi pag yung crime continuing, at the time na nakita mo siya ulit, the next time, di ba, committing pa rin siya ng crime. So, pasok pa rin siya sa in flagrante kasi pag continue yung crime, like kidnapping, pag nakita mo siya later on, he was still actually committing a crime. Di ba? Pero sabihin natin, hindi nga continuing, suntukan. Suntukan lang. Pag suntukan, di mo siya nahuli, red-handed, caught red-handed, di mo nagawa. Naghabol lang kayo, hindi mo rin inabutan, mabilis siyang tumakbo. Lumipas ang isang araw. Kailangan mag-secure ka na ng warrant for you to arrest him the next time. Okay? O ngayon, ano po itong pangalawang na to, nilagay ko na to. O ngayon, kailangan na natin i-break down itong hot pursuit. Mas mabilis pala, no? Ito, I mean, to be honest with you guys, pati ako, no, the way I discuss things, no? Kasi nga, while I'm lecturing, natututo din ako talaga. Natututo ako in the sense na mas napapansin ko while I lecture, while I teach. Mas napapansin ko na mas napapasimple ko pa siya, lalo. No? So even me, no, while I'm lecturing, nag-improve din yung skills ko. The same way na nag-improve yung skills ko. So nagkakaroon tayo ng symbiotic relationship, parang tax lang. No? I help you and I help you improve your skills, no? Sa pagsagot sa bar. And at the same time, tutulungan ako din yung sarili ko in teaching, no? So like yan, hindi ko ata nadali to ever ng ganito kasimple. So, yan ang goal ko talaga, mas mapaiksi ko yung discussion, mas mapasimple ko. I think this is the first time na nagawa ko talaga siya ng ganun kasimple. No, like, nasa hot pursuit na ako. After nito, tapos na yung discussion ko. Di ba? Sa hot pursuit tayo, guys. Alam niyo na ito, overt act, manifestly indicating yan. Manifestly indicating. By the way, bago tayo pumunta ng hot pursuit, paano malalaman? Ito pong first at saka second records na ito, they go hand in hand. Okay? Kaya mo nalaman that there was an overt act manifestly indicating yung commission ng crime kasi based sa senses mo. Okay? Like halimbawa, may isang kaso, no, sabi natin gabi, no, nakasakay sa loob ng car, police car yung tao. May tinted yung police car, syempre, no, tinted yan, police car. Eh. Malayo yung police car. Ngayon nakita niya si A at saka si B nagbigayan ng pera saka sachet. Tapos biglang lumapit yung police, inaresto yung mga tao doon, no? Kasi possession, sale of dangerous drugs, 'di ba? Pusher daw. Can we say na nagkaroon po ng valid in flagrante delicto arrest? The answer is no. Why? Bakit po hindi? Bakit hindi po siya valid in flagrante delicto? Kasi dito po nawala sa in his presence. How can you say that the crime was done in your presence? Based on the factual circumstance, how can your sense of sight, how can your eyesight determine what was the transaction about? What was this transaction about between A and B? Paano mo nalaman na siya? Boom, ang binibenta. Yung ganong kalayo, tapos nasa loob ka pa ng kotse, madilim. How did you know? Diba? For all we know, tawas yan. For all we know, betchin. These are legal items, diba? To sell. So, saan po nagkaroon ng mintis doon? Sa in his presence. Okay? Kasi, yung sense, no? Your ability to sense things, that will also lead you to the knowledge that there was an overt act manifestly indicating the commission of a crime, whether actually has committed or attempting to commit. Okay? So, gusto ko lang i-point out sa inyo is ito ang important dyan. What does presence mean? Okay? Ito, para sa atin na lang to. Pag sinabi mo presence, The police officer was able to sense the commission of the crime. He was able to sense, no? What kind of sense are we talking about? Pwedeng smell, pwedeng sight, pwedeng touch, pwedeng hearing, pwedeng taste. Okay? Or good. Dito tayo sa hot pursuit arrest, no? Hot pursuit arrest, nataka na natin immediacy test, no? Just been committed. So, time of the arrest, time of the, ito, time of the arrest, time of the commission of the crime, dapat may large measure of immediacy. Pag lumagpas na po tayo ng 24 hours dyan, there must be if there was appreciable lapse of time, a warrant of arrest must be secured na to arrest the person the next time you see him. Hindi mo siya pwedeng i-hot pursuit after 1 day. Okay? O next tayo, no? Ito po palang insight ko sa inyo. Itong number 3 na ito, magkakaroon ka ng probable cause ng reasonable grounds to suspect based po sa personal knowledge nyo. Kaya yung number 2, kaya sa number 2, nilagay kay personal knowledge. Kung makikita niyo po sa Rule 115 Section 5, ang last phrase dyan, yung personal knowledge. Para po sa akin, hindi ganun. Dapat, sa requisites natin, para mas maintindihan natin, ang second requisite mo dapat, personal knowledge. Kasi, if you have personal knowledge of facts and circumstances that the person to be arrested has committed the crime, magkakaroon ka ng probable cause to arrest him. Di ba? Assuming na the immediacy test was complied with or the word just. Di ba? So ano po pinaka-important para lang sa akin? Ano ang pinaka-important na requisites dito? Yung una saka yung pangalawa. Okay? Sige. Masyado nang mataas pa natin. Okay. Then na siguro yan. Nakikita na naman ako. Okay. So ayan. Dito tayo sa personal knowledge. We can erase ano na dito. Tapos gagawin ko kayo ng example. After this. Kukunin ko na kayo sa sa search incidental to a lawful arrest. Ano? Ayan. Personal knowledge of facts and circumstances that the person to be arrested, no? Committed it. Ito, case-to-case basis, di ba? Case-to-case basis. Okay? Reliable information alone does not satisfy as personal knowledge. So, nakalagay naman sa pre-week reviewer natin yan. Further, facts and circumstances may pertain to events or actions within the actual perception, personal evaluation, or observation of the police officer at the scene of the crime. So, ang mindset po natin, paano ba magkaroon ng personal knowledge? How can you have personal knowledge? Dapat, merong scene of the crime. No? Pumunta yung arresting officer sa scene of the crime. Okay? Whether, when the crime was being committed, yan nga yung parang sa in flagrante kanina, di ba na naging hot pursuit? O ba't nagkaroon ka ng personal knowledge? You were there at the scene of the crime while the crime was being committed, di ba? Yan. Or after. And based po, no? Based sa observation, perception, at saka sa evaluation ng police officer, no? The person to be arrested, no? The person to be arrested has committed a crime, no? No? Based on the observation, perception, evaluation of the police officer, the person to be arrested, no, was committed. Grabe itong whiteboard na to. Pag nagdi-discuss ako ng whiteboard, parang parang mas dumadami kaalaman ko, nagkakaroon ako ng different perspective din na mga tuturo ako, no? Para kong i-explain sa inyo. Okay, person to be arrested as committed. Okay. So pag sinabi mong nando sa scene of the crime yung police, while the crime was being committed, hindi na kailangan ng marami pang pieces of evidence to determine na meron siyang personal knowledge. His eyesight alone, his senses alone would show that he has personal knowledge. So ano lang ang kailangan ipakitang ebidensya? Bakit ka nagkaroon ng personal knowledge? Your senses lang. O ngayon, if pumunta po yung police, pumunta yung police after the commission of the crime, and then magkakaroon siya ng observation, perception, evaluation, mas marami pong pieces of evidence that we must prove, we must present para mapakita na may personal knowledge si police. Okay, yun ang ibig ko sabihin. Kasi ito po, lahat ng mga yan, probably circumstantial at best. Ito, direct evidence to. Naku, Diyos ko, nag-rules on evidence na si sir. Okay. Di ba? Ito kasi direct evidence yan. Senses niya nakakita eh. Di ba? Hindi nga hearsay yan eh. Siya talaga yun. Taas ko nga. Sige, try ko. Ayan, sige. Ayan. Di ba? Okay? Senses lang niya. Direct evidence yan. Itong after, malamang sa malamang, circumstantial yan or hearsay. Combination of everything. Anyway, hindi po pa lang sa ating sabing hearsay kasi hindi naman natin ino-offer. Hindi mo natin alam kung ano yung purpose ng offer eh. Hindi pa naman natin alam. Huwag natin muna i-factor in evidence. What I'm just trying to say is, we need to present numerous pieces of evidence to show that nagkaroon ng personal knowledge of police because of what he saw, what he observed, what he perceived, what he evaluated after he arrived at the scene of, when he arrived at the scene of the crime, after the crime was committed. In Tagalog, no, mas marami siyang kailangang ipakita sa korte kung bakit siya nagkaroon ng personal knowledge. Kung dumating siya dun sa scene of the crime after nang makamit yung krimen at paano niyang nalaman, paano niyang na-perceive, paano niyang naobserbahan, paano niyang na-evaluate na yun taong arestuhin niya ang nagkumit po ng krimen. Okay? So, gumawa tayo ng mga examples ng ganito, no? After the crime was committed, naobserbahan ni police na itong aarestuhin niya ang gumawa ng krimen. Buburahin ko na ito, guys. Kasi sabi ko nga, yung probable cause, magkaaroon ka naman talaga ng probable cause kung may personal knowledge yung police. Kasi may reasonable grounds na ako to suspect that this person is the criminal. Aarestuhin ko. Diba? So, punta na po tayo dito nung gawa tayo ng examples. Unang example, the ano ba, the victim was dying. Diba? Ayan, dying. He told the police who killed him. Can we say na may personal knowledge siya? The answer is yes. Di ba? We can say na may personal knowledge siya. Eh, yung mismo biktima ang nagsabi, based on his personal observation, perception, and evaluation, based mo sa sinabi ng biktima, etong taong arestuhin niya ang nag-commit ng crime. Di ba? At syempre, dahil na yung victim, di ba, probably dumating yung police after na nung barilan, after na nung saksakan, and so on. Okay? Pero based pa rin po sa observation, perception ni police, evaluation ni police, no? Nagkaroon siya ng personal knowledge. Nai-arrestuhin niya, yun ang pumatay sa biktima. That's first example. Next example.